Hi, this is Timur Dar with The Beat. I'm chatting with the talent behind The Legend of Vox Machina. How are you guys?
Hi, how
Good.
are
How
you?
are
Doing very
you?
well. Hi.
Yeah.
That shirt
Um,
is killer. I
I
love
know.
it.
I love it.
that's my word. People always talk comment on the shirt. Uh, so I think obviously family is a major theme of the series, since it's very fitting, since Critical Role and the production itself are actually families. You have Laura, you, and Travis, um, Marissa and Matthew, and now with the series, you even have your kids getting into the action. Liam, I believe your daughter Zoe does a voice in it, correct?
My daughter Zoe is making her voiceover debut.
Aw.
Joe, well, I said that out loud for the first time.
Mm.
So, how do you think the production of Vox Machina has this animated series has strengthened your familial bond, especially during these last 2 years?
Well, Vox Machina and our other campaigns as well tell the story of like really different lunkheads coming together and forming a family, and the history of the show sort of mirrored that. So the home game brought us together as really close friends and family, and then that carried with us into the show. And as we formed a company together, the adventure continued in a new way, and building this animated series has just been the next chapter of that adventure. So we really feel like we're sort of climbing our own mountain outside of the table game as well.
And
Um,
yeah, I'll say especially with the last couple of years being so rough, it was very good. It was very nice to have a reason to force ourselves on, or at least myself on occasion, to have to talk to friends and have to get up and have a reason to like keep connecting when it would, when otherwise it would have been a little tough.
And while the world has been so hard,
Yeah.
we had another world to go to.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
A nice little escape, that's for
Mhm.
sure.
well said. Something I never actually put together until fairly recently was the kind of overlap of theater and role playing and tabletop gaming. So I know all of you come from theater. So I'm curious, A, if your interest in theater or role playing games came first, but also how the two experiences lend themselves to each other.
I feel like it all kind of overlapped, didn't it? I mean, I certainly, was an actor and involved in theater long before I discovered tabletop. Uh, but I don't know if that's necessarily the case with Liam and Taliesin.
Oh, I mean, I was definitely an actor first, and then discovered tabletop later. Although it was, I think, I was an actor at like 5, and
That's
then
true.
found tabletop at like 13. But yeah, they're very intertwined, and especially if you play from a heavy RP standpoint, it scratches that itch so well.
I
Yeah.
didn't put two and two together when I was young. I definitely fell into a number of role playing games when I was like 12, 13, 14, 15. And then as I got into my teens and went off to college and started to be an actor, I was like, oh, well, I got to put this away because now I'm an actor, which is ridiculous because all these years later, we've got this game that is made up of, super heavy RP, theater loving, performance loving actors, which is not how every game is, but it's definitely how ours is. And the two just married together so well.
I mean, I feel like playing this game has helped me become a better actor. Like living with a character for this many years and really diving into all the different ways that they would react to situations. And it it's second nature when you're at the table, because you're just fully as that character all the time. So now, doing other projects, it's amazing how quickly I can get into the mindset of that character. um, it's just made everything much easier.
Um,
This experience has made me 10 times the actor I ever was, and really hammers home like every actor says it, but acting is reacting. And all I feel like is I look around at my best friends in the world and I react and I react and I react, and it
Mhm.
just comes naturally.
Absolutely.
so I was recently watching an episode of a docu-series that was discussing how crucial it is to tell stories about characters that make audiences uncomfortable. There was one interviewee, he kind of brought up Lawrence of Arabia and admitted how D. Lawrence, there's some monstrous aspects of the character. Taliesin, for you, I know Percy, he definitely has a dark nature, and I'm sure as fans will, or viewers in general, will discover by the end of the third episode, it gets into some heavy territory. How did crafting such a dark performance entail for you?
Oh, this was a character. The idea of this character had been sitting in my head for quite a while. I had written down notes for him to be used in another thing years ago, and I was always fascinated by the idea of kind of that Nobel and TNT and other like real genius intellects who built things that clearly were not good for the world for various different reasons, and what would be the mindset of that, and how you would go about rationalizing that, and what would drive someone to do that. And I was always just fascinated by such a kind of destructive, self-destructive person, especially if they're kind of lovable, and even if they're a wreck. So if he can get his shit together, anybody can.
So because the animated series is streaming, it doesn't have to go through typical network standards and practices. So I'm curious, you guys get away with a lot of stuff. So I'm curious where you draw the line in regards to the content.
Well, I think the animated series lines up pretty well with this sort of tone and weight and humor that we had at the table. So the only adjustments we really had to make for the animated series was boiling down those hundreds of hours into, the short episodes. And I think we've pretty successfully, got the essence of the characters, and the relationships are there, and the big moments that mattered to us from the story. We were happily able to get together at the beginning of the whole process, and every member of the game was able to say, like, well, this mattered to me, this mattered to me. You've got to have this, and it's largely there.
Yeah, it never felt like a line. It always just, we weren't shooting for a line. It was just, does it feel like us?
Yeah,
and we're a little crass,
a little bit,
just a little.
And the game, when we played it, it has some heavy themes, and I think that's one of the things that resonated with a lot of people. So we didn't want to shy away from that in the animated series, for sure.
So you have top tier voice actress and voice director Mary Elizabeth McGlynn, who participated in previous critical campaigns. Obviously, she's one of the best in the business. So I'm curious, what has been the experience of working with her on Vox Machina?
It's so funny because we knew right away we wanted Mary Elizabeth to be the director. She's one of our best friends outside of animation. She's just a wonderful human being who we love. And as a director, who we've all worked with her in the past, she is one of the most in tune with an actor's needs and finding a way to get things out of somebody that maybe, would be difficult for someone else. She understands comedy beats. She understands dramatic beats. And more than anything, she understood the world that we were diving into. Because she, outside of playing with us, she also watched the show. She knew all of the story without having to be explained that. And she was just the absolute perfect fit.
And she knows each of us as people. I've been working with Mary for as long as I've been in voiceover. And in addition to being a dear friend, she is also flat out the best voice director I've ever worked with. No offense to Sam Riegel.
He officiated Travis and my wedding long before this was ever a thing. So yes, we love her dearly.
Mm-hmm. On that note, it's been a pleasure chatting with you guys. I can't wait for the entire world to finally see Vox Machina.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for having us.
So much.
Thank you. Bye.